If you're asking me a hypothetical about whether this Republican Senate would confirm a member of the Supreme Court to a vacancy that created this year.
Before November.
Yeah, we would fill it.
Well, if a vacancy did occur, and I don't expect one too, I hope everybody has a long, healthy 2020 on the court, you would see an effort by Republicans, I'm sure, to fill the vacancy.
If President Trump is defeated, if Republicans lose control of the Senate, would you still support doing this prior to January?
I would support going ahead with any hearings that we might have. And if it comes to an appointment prior to the end of the year, I would be supportive of that. We would need to have some very serious discussion about that. But again, it is, even though it's a lame duck session, it is still a Republican president and still a Republican Senate.
We are one vote away from losing our fundamental constitutional liberties. And I believe that the president should next week nominate a successor to the court. And I think it is critical that the Senate takes up and confirms that successor before Election Day.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Spann Report podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 310 of the report. And it's time to get serious about some shit, man. Like real talk. I know we've talked about a lot of things politically, what is at stake at this particular point, but one person died this week, and it put the freedom and the progress and the civil rights in jeopardy of millions of Americans across this nation. And so we're gonna talk about the death of Justice Ruth Bader-Ginsburg on today's show, because that's gonna lean in heavy to the theme of today's show, man. Real talk. It's time for the games to end. It's a lot of dumb shit going on, a lot of dumb shit I've been seeing, and I'm tired. I don't have any room for it anymore. So we're gonna kind of roll. We're gonna kind of go in on that, but of course, before we do, I do have to let you guys know how to get in touch with us over here at the Spann Report podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit us up on our hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages, and of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. And if you're watching us here live on Facebook or YouTube or Periscope, hit up that hotline and chop it up with your man Spann here live at area code 313-288-0485. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Leave us those emails, and of course, those emails will get read here and replied to here live on the show as well. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead, follow me there, chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, hit up our website at www.thespannreport.com. Go there, watch replays of the show. You can leave comments there. You can vote in the polls when we decide to put those polls up. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network. And shout out to our golden circle of the Spann Report Podcast, those who are donated through Patreon, because they allow for us to broadcast the show here live on Facebook, YouTube, and or Periscope. So man, that's how you get in touch with us here. Got a lot of different ways to do that. Go ahead and do that when you get a chance, right? Yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so we're gonna kind of get into it. But before we do, we got some listener feedback from earlier in the week. Someone called the hotline and they wanted to get in touch with us over here. So let's see what they're talking about here on this voicemail. Check this out, Joe.
Mrs. Spann, I was calling. I like your show, what I have heard of it. But what I was calling you for, I thought maybe I could reach you and talk to you for a minute. But I'll try again. I keep on watching your shows because I like your show.
I appreciate that.
And the things that you talk about, interested, really. And I'll give you a call back maybe. And because I thought when I called, maybe I could reach you and talk to you for a while. But you have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.
Well, all right, then. I appreciate you calling. So, before we go any further, the hotline isn't when you chop it up with us live on the hotline, the hotline is for leaving a voicemail message that we can reply to here on the show. And if you're watching us live, you can, we could chop it up a little bit while we're doing the show here live. I don't take those calls during the week. I don't take those calls during the week. That's primarily a voicemail line during the week, and then when we're doing the show, we could chop it up here on the show. But I don't take those calls during the week. This is simply for the show. But I appreciate you calling, and I hope you do call again. We can chop it up here live. If you're ever able to catch the show live, I really would appreciate if you would call in live. We can exchange some pleasantries and whatnot. But thank you for calling in. But yo, man, it's like I said, this is episode 310. We had some real big news happen. Before we get into the news, your man Spann had some random thoughts, though, man. Like, we got to have some lightness to all this heaviness that's going to come after this shit, right? So we got to have something light to kind of kick things off with. And I got a couple random thoughts, man. First random thought I got, right? And I actually had this conversation with my aunt earlier this week. But you remember when, you could, you remember how a long distance call was a really big thing? Like, you can actually tell your kids to shut the fuck up because you was on a long distance call. You know what I'm saying? Y'all remember that? Your mama on the phone, you in the back fucking around. And she's like, shut the fuck up back there. It's a long distance call. I'm talking to you people in California. And back in the day, it cost a grip to talk to somebody, even if they was like 20 miles away. That was considered a long distance call. They was charging 25 cents a minute or some shit like that. And your mama get mad at you because you wouldn't shut the fuck up because she couldn't hear grandma talking on the phone. Y'all remember that? That should still work on old people, right? That should still work on old people. Like, say for instance, you on the phone with an older person, and say you somebody clicking in, you get another call on the other line, and he be like, oh, you know what, Granny, I'm gonna have to call you back. This is a long distance call. And Granny like, okay, sugar, go ahead and tell Pearl I said hello. That's that was one of the things I was thinking about, man. Long distance calls. It don't really matter now anymore. People just pick up the phone and call the motherfucker. It don't even matter where they at. You can be in Korea. Niggas like, all right, what's up, man? What you doing? WhatsApp and all these different fucking video voice calls and shit that kind of make that obsolete now. So don't nobody get mad at long distance calls anymore, right? Something I was thinking about. I don't know why. Another thing I was kind of thinking about. I don't know if I've ever seen an out of shape pit bull in my life. For real, I don't know if I've ever seen one. I don't know if you have any of you guys ever seen an out of shape pit bull. For real, every pit bull in the hood I've ever seen look like it's got a lifetime membership at Gold's Gym or something. They be they always standing off like this and shit. You know what I'm saying? They ready to flex on your ass, man. Outside of biting the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if I've ever seen an out of shape pit bull. Now I know somebody in my on my Facebook timeline, they were like, yeah, I've seen one. I've had an out of shape pit bull. He couldn't walk past the block. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if I've ever seen one, man. Every pit bull I've ever come across in my life has been some brolic ass, swole ass pit bull. It looked like they've been weighing his ass down with a heavy ass chain, making him drag tires and shit his entire life. That kind of shit, man. Pit bulls. Never seen one out of shape. That's just me. Kind of thing. It was something I was thinking about during this week. I don't know why. Right. Also, I was listening to Bomani Jones's podcast, The Evening Jones. You guys should really check that out, man. Really dope show. And they were talking about clothes, some of the clothes we used to wear back in the 90s or whatever. And he was talking about in Houston, they used to crease their clothes. Houston was really dedicated to the creasing of the clothes, man. Nobody was more dedicated to the crease. And I don't know if so I'm wondering if that's a regional thing, because I do remember in Chicago and sometimes when I was in Detroit, brothers was creasing their pants. As a matter of fact, your man Spann, I used to even crease my cuffs. I put cuffs in my jeans back in the day, and I would crease them motherfuckers too. And then you had other people that you remember the guys that used to put the crease in the middle of their t-shirt. You remember that shit? Dudes used to iron their t-shirts and shit back when niggas used to iron their t-shirt. Nobody irons their shirts anymore. I don't know why. But you used to iron your t-shirts and shit, and be that little crease down the middle, and then your pants had the creases down there, and then they would have either depending on where you was at, they either had on the Reebok Classics, they had on the K-Swiss Classics, or if you was in Detroit, y'all was rocking the Rockport orthopedic shoes, right? Now, here's the thing, man, to my Detroiters, I don't know if y'all could ever lay that down, man. I know Cartiers is a thing for y'all. I know Pelly jackets is still a thing for y'all. But the Rockports, man, like y'all was really fucking up the game with the Rockports, bruh. Like, can you imagine like you like your pop going to the store to go get him some shoes because his gout fucking with him, and he can't get them because all the young boys then picked up all the Rockports? That shit was that was like a crime against humanity, bruh. Like for us to be out here rocking those Rockports like that. Y'all wasn't supposed to be doing that. Pop can't even walk. You know what I'm saying? But you out here rocking the orthopedic shoes, talking about how comfortable it is, thinking you fly. Like, come on, man. We used to really do that shit. Man. Detroiters, man, rocking the Rockport shoes, man. Like, thinking we was the shit. You know, that was a thing, man. But those are my random thoughts, man. Now let's get to some heavy shit. We got the news. Our first story here in the news has to do with the death of one Ruth Bader-Ginsburg. She was a Supreme Court justice. She had been, I want to say, for like the last 27 years. She was appointed to that court by then President Bill Clinton. And she died at the age of 87 after a long bout with pancreatic cancer. And so we read the story here. This comes out of NPR.org. It says, our nation has lost a justice of historic stature. Chief Justice John Roberts said, we at the Supreme Court have lost a cherished colleague. Today we mourn, but with confidence that future generations will remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg as we knew her, a tireless and resolute champion of justice. Architect of the legal fight for women's rights in the 1970s, Ginsburg subsequently served 27 years on the nation's highest court, becoming its most prominent member. Her death will inevitably set in motion what promises to be a nasty and tumultuous political battle over who will succeed her, and it thrusts the Supreme Court vacancy into the spotlight of the presidential campaign. Just days before her death, as her strength waned, Ginsburg dictated this statement to her granddaughter, Clara Sparrow. My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed. She knew what was to come. Ginsburg's death will have profound consequences for the court and the country. Inside the court, not only is the leader of the liberal wing gone, but with the court about to open a new term, the Chief Justice no longer holds a controlling vote in closely contested cases. Though Roberts has a consistently conservative record in most cases, he has split from fellow conservatives in a few important ones this year, casting his vote with liberals, for instance, to protect at least temporarily the so-called Dreamers from deportation by the Trump administration, to uphold a major abortion precedent, and to uphold bans on large church gatherings during the coronavirus pandemic. But with Ginsburg gone, there is no clear majority for those outcomes. Now, people will go back and they will harken back to the election in 2016 between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and I've seen it on Twitter already. Those folks who were talking about the lesser of two evils. Those folks who were talking about, well, we can afford to lose an election. We can't afford to lose our principles. Shout out to Mark Lamont Hill. I'm not with Hillary. I'm not with her because I'm petty. Shout out to Michael Harriot. This is what people were trying to avoid, right? Elections have consequences. And unfortunately, those people back in 2016 who couldn't stomach the idea of Hillary Clinton being president, but could somehow fathom Donald Trump occupying the office. Although they would say that they didn't want Donald Trump, I find it hard to fucking believe that you could look at that choice of, well, I'm going to vote for Jill Stein and essentially throw that vote away. I can't imagine how you can sit here in this moment right now and not understand the havoc and the destruction that you have allowed to be placed upon this nation. Like that's just keeping it as real as I could possibly do it without cussing y'all the fuck out, man. Like I've been seething. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg essentially did not like even retire because she knew what her standing was and how she was a stalwart against what could possibly come, how another Donald Trump appointment to the Supreme Court could affect this nation and fucking diabolical and drastic ways, man. I hate to be so hyperbolic in the language, but it's just essentially what this is. And so for Ruth Bader Ginsburg to die at this particular moment, it puts into spotlight the hypocrisy of the Republican Party, and there's been a clear hypocrisy from the jump. We knew going in that these people were not people of their word. So in 2016, before the election, Antonin Scalia was a Supreme Court justice who had passed away, and Barack Obama had an opportunity to fill that seat 11 months before the election. And at the moment, Mitch McConnell told the nation that the Senate would not even take up a vote or a hearing for Barack Obama's appointment, who was Merrick Garland. They sat on that seat for 11 months. 11 months. There was no ninth Supreme Court justice. And they said it was because they wanted the nation to have a voice in who sits on the court. And so the nation having a voice in who sits on the court was like, okay, so you guys get to determine who the next president is going to be. The next president should be the one to determine whether or not, how we proceed in selecting the next Supreme Court justice. It was at the time received with cynicism, as it rightfully should have been, because we knew that it was bullshit. It was at the time, it was simply a power play to, again, keep Barack Obama from having part of his agenda fulfilled, being blocked by the Senate, being blocked by one Mitch McConnell, right? We knew it was bullshit. At the time, we knew it was bullshit. People were upset about it then. Come to the 2016 election, Donald Trump wins the election through an electoral college victory because we know that more people voted for Hillary Clinton. He wins it. And so now they get to pick the Supreme Court justice, right? And so far, Donald Trump has been able to seat 2 Supreme Court justices with the opportunity to pick a third right now. But the hypocrisy is in the fact that these Republicans who were talking about how we shouldn't pick a Supreme Court justice during an election year, where the American people should have a choice in who becomes the next president of the United States and therefore gets to pick the next Supreme Court justice. Suddenly all of that shit is out of the fucking window. Suddenly they don't give a fuck about any of that shit. They've been sitting on. These motherfuckers have been going back and forth for over 2 months on whether or not to pass another meaningful stimulus package to battle the coronavirus and to keep the economy afloat, because they really like the economy is their fucking bread, their baby. People be damned, right? But they've been going back and forth for over 2 months over whether or not they should pass some legislation to help the fucking American people. 2 months. They didn't wait 2 hours. They didn't wait 2 hours to let you know after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died that they were about to go ahead and put another motherfucking Supreme Court justice up for nomination. They're already saying like, next week we putting one up. Yeah, all that shit we said before. Yeah, times have changed. Things are different. It's a Republican Senate. It's a Republican president. We need to go ahead and do this, that, and the other. They don't give a fuck. And so I've been seething because I've watched people act as though all of this shit is a game. I've watched people with these bullshit hypotheticals about, well, what if they did this and how about, Trump can't be all that bad, like my 401k looking good right now though. But we was getting killed by the police when Obama was president too, though. So what difference does it make? Like these fucking court appointments, these appointments are the sole reason why I can't wait to fucking vote. My number one issue was Supreme Court appointments. They've been stacking federal courtships with conservatives. Some of these motherfuckers don't even have the credentials to be judges. Not even lawyers even are sitting on federal benches right now. Nobody's paying fucking attention. Nobody. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be where one justice dies and you've got millions of people across this nation worrying about whether or not their civil rights are going to even be honored anymore. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. But these are the stakes, right? These are the stakes. These are, these are the things that, these elections having consequences. Yeah, these are some of the consequences right now. We just watched the fucking attorney general say that coronavirus restrictions are akin to slavery. Really? Are akin to slavery. We watched this attorney general sit in front of a room full of people to say that they would consider using sedition, charging folks with sedition for protesting Black lives, protesting for Black lives. They're actually considering using American troops against American protesters on American soil. These are the things that are up for grabs right now. This shit is not a fucking game. Not a game at all. And so while I watch people hedge and talk about, yo, man, Joe Biden was, he wrote the 94 crime bill, forgetting that Black folks was asking for that fucking crime bill. Yo, man, what is Joe Biden gonna do for black economics? Never going to his fucking website to even read the goddamn program. Like, this is the shit. This is the shit, man. I've been seething quietly. I've been seething all this week, bruh. Seething. Trying to keep shit together. For real. For real, for real. You think about the fact that, like, as we talk about, like, this coronavirus fucking, response and stuff like that, right? The fact that we're still 6 months into this and we really have, like, we're acting as though the shit just going, this is our new normal. Hey, well, fuck it then. Coronavirus is going to be a thing. Meanwhile, the world is out here controlling their coronavirus, going back to doing normal shit because they did the fucking work that needed to be done. Meanwhile, we sitting here worrying whether or not we can, like, well, shit. Well, maybe we could just, we could wear the mask all the time. Then fuck it. Then I can wear a mask. Hell, I'd hook my shit up with my outfit, nigga. I look good. I look like a motherfucking ninja. Now, fuck that, man. Fuck that. We're rationalizing irrational shit. Man, I couldn't see my motherfucking grandmother the last year of her life, man, because of this shit. Fuck that. No, I'm not going to sit here and act as though any of this shit is fucking normal. No, I'm not going to sit here and act as though I'm cool with the shit that's going on. Fuck that. Yo, man, I need it. I swear, man, I need people to take this shit a lot more serious. I need more people to be more mindful of the shit that they say, of the ideas that they are putting forth out into the world, of to be more responsible with your rhetoric and your messaging when it comes, especially if you guys any level of a platform where, like, you got hundreds of people listening to you or thousands of people listening to you. I need you to be more motherfucking responsible with your words. Because whether, like, some of, like, the Twitter influencers and shit, and the people that write for The Root, and the people who are up on MSNBC talking about how they couldn't fathom voting for Hillary Clinton, or how, these things, how they affected the Black community, and they're using this hindsight as 2020 shit, not even recognizing what the situation was at the time. Like, all of that shit All of that shit played into the situation that we find ourselves in right fucking now. Well, whether the Democrats even like, they can put up all the obstruction they want right now, man, it's not going to make a motherfucking difference, right? Because structurally, as the government is set up, look, check this out. Say they don't push a Supreme Court justice through before the November 3rd elections, right? Say they give us a chance to vote on who's going to be the next president. Have these Republicans shown you any motherfucking gumption? Have they shown you any level of responsibility or any level of honor to say that, hey, that still don't mean we can't get this shit through? Because even after you vote on November 3rd, you still got to wait till January 20th before your next president and the next Congress comes into power. And you know what they call that period in between that election and that change in hands, of that switch over in power? A lame duck session. Guess what these motherfuckers could do? Especially when if the Republicans lose the Senate, if they lose the Senate, they could just say, well, fuck it, I've already lost my seat. Go ahead and push a motherfucking push this through. We can go ahead and vote on this right now. They can't do shit. I've already lost my seat. And they can still push this shit through, man. These are the rules of the game. This is how this shit has been played. The one thing that like Republicans tend to do is they get in lockstep with one another. They get in lockstep. They may not even like each other. Hell, they didn't like Trump in the beginning. Lindsey Graham called him a xenophobic bigot. And he's one of his biggest motherfucking supporters right now. Ted Cruz, Donald Trump said his daddy was involved in the JFK assassination and flat out called that man's wife ugly. Ted Cruz been sucking his balls. I'm sorry. Ted Cruz has been he's been sucking up. He's been sucking up so hard that he's even being considered right now for a Supreme Court justice nominee. They don't give a fuck, man. They don't care nothing about the principles of shit. Meanwhile, we bicker over, well, is it going to be burning? Like, are we going to do, universal health care? Is it going to be like Medicare for all? Like, which one is going to be, man? Because I really can't like see myself voting for, Kamala Harris because she's not for Medicare for all. Never mind whether or not she proposes anything, has anything like could get you to the same result. It's got to be this specific thing that you heard because it's catchy on Twitter or on the Facebook or wherever the fuck else. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm upset. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We've essentially been dependent upon the health of an 87-year-old woman to be the dam against a flood of, to be the dam against a flood of civil rights overrun. So, that's in the news, man. We I'm gonna need us to, I'm gonna need us to get our shit together, vote, register people to vote. If you can carpool, I know, do it safely. If you can become a poll worker and volunteer to become a poll worker, do that. But if you can vote early, do that. If you can vote absentee, I'm voting absentee this year. I want to vote right now. I want to vote right fucking now. And as soon as they send me my ballot, I'm headed right to the clerk's office to drop that bitch off fulfilled. It's not a game. It is not a game. So yeah, man. That's in the news. Another story that we got in the news is Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum is in the news because he came out as bisexual this week. A lot of folks were asking whether or not this was even news or why it was news. He actually had something to say on he did this on Tamron Hall's new show. I believe she's on ABC. And he came out as bisexual. And this is this comes as after 6 months after he was found in a motel room with a male escort, naked, in a pool of his own blood, passed out in a pool of his own vomit. And many folks are asking whether or not, like, why is this news? Why does Andrew Gillum need to come out as bisexual? Like, why is this any of our business? And I'm gonna tell you exactly why he had to do this. For one, there were already rumors circulating around on social media about whether or not he was into men. I've seen them myself where folks were talking about, I know somebody who worked with him, and girl, let me tell you, like that kind of shit, right? It was just sort of a thing. There have been rumors about him for a while. The other thing about this is the fact that, like, if Andrew Gillum wants to have any future in politics, he's got to come out in front of this head on. He's got to head this off. So, him coming out with his wife in support of him was important. I know some people will look at it like this is a cynical way to kind of go about this, or that, maybe he's full of shit, or maybe he's trying to disarm people to keep them from criticizing him. And those may all be true. But at the same time, it may also be true that he is truly a bisexual man who was caught up in a situation that was, how shall we say, unflattering for him. Right now, I'm one, like, at first I had jokes when this happened. I kind of was, y'all remember the movie Ricochet with Denzel Washington? He was a up and coming district attorney in LA, and he had political aspirations. And there was this one criminal that he had put away that had an obsession with him. Earl Talbot Blake had an obsession with Denzel. I think his name was Nick Stiles or something like that. Nick Stiles. And Earl Talbot Blake had this plan to, like, set up Nick Stiles to make him look bad and just, like, fuck up his reputation, this, that, and other. And truthfully speaking, I was kind of comparing Andrew Gillum's shit to Nick Stiles. I'm like, damn, I've seen this movie before. Like, you got an up and coming black politician who's getting national profile, national recognition. And then suddenly his life comes crashing down because of some scandal, some scandalous shit. And he's got to face questions about cheating, with his wife. Same thing with Andrew Gillum. He's got to face questions about his integrity. Same thing with, it's like, it was as if the movie was replaying in real life and shit. Only we don't have a real life Earl Talbot Blake. This shit was really Andrew Gillum having some issues in his life. Now, he's also said that he was an alcoholic and he's been going to AA and whatnot. This is all an attempt right now. For Andrew Gillum to reclaim his life, to reclaim his image, to reclaim his political aspirations, because I believe that Andrew Gillum simply, like, he can get past this. He can get past this depending on how he maneuvers. He can get past this. But I believe that the reason why you got to know that Andrew Gillum is bisexual is because Andrew Gillum was caught in that hotel room with a man and he was naked, and he was a male escort. Like, he has to get out in front of this. Now, for those of you who are like, I don't care what he does in his bedroom, this, that, and the other. Yeah, whatever. Because y'all always say that anytime somebody comes out as gay, and y'all be like, or bisexual, and then y'all act as though y'all don't give a damn when y'all really do. People, like, let's stop fucking bullshitting. Y'all care. Sometimes y'all sit around and talk about people like that you wouldn't vote for because of this. It's still an issue, y'all. It's still an issue. You don't have to automatically just be like, well, what are you doing in his bed? Like, it doesn't always have to come to that. But the reason why he had to come out in front of this was because of the situation that he found himself in. And so, yeah, man, Andrew Gillum comes out. That's in the news. Another story that we got here in the news is the City of Louisville, Kentucky has come out, and they have settled with the family of Breonna Taylor, and they're settling to the tune of $12 million. All right, we get this story here. This comes out of Vox.com. It says the City of Louisville, Kentucky has agreed to a $12 million financial settlement with the family of Breonna Taylor, the 26-year-old EMT who police shot to death in her apartment during a late-night raid in March, according to the New York Times. The details of the settlement are expected to be announced on Tuesday afternoon at a press conference with Mayor Greg Fisher and attorneys for the Taylor family. The deal is reportedly the biggest payout made by police in the city's history, the Washington Post reports. In 2012, Louisville paid out $8.5 million to Edwin Chandler, who was wrongly imprisoned for almost a decade after a law enforcement official committed perjury, according to the Courier Journal. The settlement with Taylor's family, which comes after weeks of private talks and negotiations, also includes policing reforms, such as a requirement that commanders approve all search warrants before they go to a judge, a source told the Courier Journal. The settlement also reportedly states that officers who choose to live within city lines will receive housing credits, and officers involved in any shooting will be drug and alcohol tested. Now, couple things here. First things first, I'm glad that the family has gotten some sort of financial recompense for their loss. It's still not going, it still will never be enough for the loss of their loved one. I'm also glad that the family was able to negotiate some level of police reforms to happen in the city of Louisville, like there not being any no-knock raids, that there are special housing credits to give to officers to actually live in the city in which they're policing, which I think is also a really big issue that doesn't get talked about much enough. That when the police don't have any sort of connection, they don't have any sort of investment in the community in which they're policing, they tend to act as though the people that live there aren't necessarily people. Let's just keep that a buck. You don't have the investment in the city. You just come in there, you take free resources from the city, you treat the people in the city bad, and then you go to fuck back home to whatever burb you live in. So I think that's important for them to get that sort of thing, that sort of thing through. But here's the other part. And this is why I can't really take any person who's against Black Lives Matter or the protesting that Black Lives Matter has been doing over the course of the last year, or like white folks who are telling on themselves for being against Black Lives Matter and talking about Black Lives Matter being a terrorist organization, this, that, and other, like all the sorts of bullshit they come up with to justify being bigots. For one thing, for those of you who consider yourself fiscal conservatives, like you don't want the government spending too much money on, public shit, right? Like the government spends too much money on entitlements and things like that. We need to pull back on those sorts of reins. We're overspending, and they're taxing us to all be damned. And I'm tired of my tax dollars going to bullshit like that. Well, here's one of those bullshit things you should be upset about as a taxpayer, because it ain't coming out of like the police officer's pocket who shot Breonna Taylor. It's kind of coming out of your pocket that you got to pay this family $12 million in order for them to have some recompense for the fact that the city killed their loved one. Right? And for no other reason than that, I think more conservatives should be on board with the idea of Black Lives Matter, because it's costing y'all a pretty motherfucking penny, man. It's costing a pretty penny in these cities where, like, I think in Baltimore, they've been fucking up people so bad that the city capped how much money that a family could be paid out in a wrongful death or a police misconduct settlement, because it's happening so much. Like, hey, we can only pay you niggas but so much. All right. I mean, we're gonna still be whooping y'all ass, and we're gonna still be killing y'all, but we only gonna give y'all but so much. Right? One would think that on a fiscal conservative sort of bent, that some Republicans will be out here like, yo, we really need to these police are out here killing niggas like flapjacks. I mean, we really should like kind of pull back the reins on this, man. We can't keep continuing to pay out these fucking fines, man. This is bullshit. Right? You can back the blue by saying, hey man, you costing us money, man. You costing us a shit ton of money. You got to go, and you need to be locked the fuck up, because they still haven't arrested the killers of Breonna Taylor. I know a lot of y'all still mean that shit, and I don't necessarily agree with the memification of it, but they still haven't arrested the killers of Breonna Taylor. They paid out monies for her wrongful death. They haven't admitted any guilt, but they still haven't arrested the killers of Breonna Taylor. So I think it was important for them to. I think it was important for her family to get some of those recommendations for reform, to get some of that stuff passed, in addition to the $12 million settlement that they were able to get. The other part about this that I wonder about is how this settlement may affect going forward, how active the family is, you know, with any civil actions against the city, you know, like how are there any, like, what's that, not cease and desist, but gag orders or anything like that being put on the family to keep them from articulating the fact that they still want justice for Breonna Taylor. The $12 million is nice, but they still want justice. They still want the people responsible for her death to be prosecuted and put away. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and whether or not it keeps them from doing such a thing, right? But that's in the news. Another story that we got here in the news is that it seems that the people, or the children who are by and large dying from COVID-19, tend to be Black and Hispanic. All right, we get this story here. This comes out of yahoonews.com. It says the CDC says that almost all of the U.S. kids and teens who have died from COVID-19 were Hispanic or Black. It says, according to the new CDC report, roughly 0.03% of coronavirus cases in kids and teens under 21 have been fatal. So far, very few deaths, but overwhelmingly, the deaths have been people of color. It's another stark indicator that racism is the biggest reason that Black and brown Americans have a higher likelihood of dying from the coronavirus. Christopher Hansen was 5 years old when he died from the coronavirus. Jamila Deeren Amani Barber was 17 and had been worrying over an unfinished school project. Kimora Lynham was a healthy 9-year-old girl. There are 3 of the more than 121 kids and teens under 21 years old who have died from the coronavirus so far across the U.S. They also were all Black, representative of a disturbing, deadly trend. According to a new report from the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, very few children who've gotten sick with the coronavirus have died. Of the 391,814 cases of COVID-19, as well as the rare infection linked to it, pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome, that the CDC recorded between February 12th and July 31st of this year, only 121 were deadly. But among those 121 young descendants, few were white. The CDC reported that just 17 of those recorded fatalities were in white children, compared to 35 deaths of Black children and 54 Hispanic deaths. And this goes back to the shit that I've been saying as far as like the reopening of the country. Once it became kind of public knowledge that Black and brown folks were the main people suffering the most from COVID-19, dying the most from COVID-19, I kind of feel like that's when this country decided, oh, well, shit, it's fucking with them. Well, shit, we can get on back to business then. Go ahead and open that store back up, open these schools back up. Hey, let's play some football. Y'all want to play some football? Let's go ahead and play some football. Let's go ahead and get that going right. You know, like, this is the thing, man. Like, they don't give a fuck because it's not affecting them in the same way. And this is how you get these people on planes and shit, flouting mask, mandates or whatever, and talking about their fucking freedoms being imposed upon and all this other shit. Meanwhile, folks who look like us are dying needlessly. They don't care. And then, juxtapose that with the fact that we know that Donald Trump knew the coronavirus was deadly way the fuck back in February, that it could be a big problem way the fuck back in February, but he decided that he was going to downplay it because he didn't want to create a panic. We know that's bullshit, man. We know that's bullshit. But our kids are dying. Our kids are dying. We're losing some of our elders too, primarily. But yeah, that's in the news. We got a breaking news story also. Yeah, so somebody tried to kill Donald Trump, y'all. This comes out of usatoday.com. It says Donald Trump was sent a package and it was a poison with rice. Well, let me just read the story. It was like they sent this motherfucker ricin. It says ricin, A poison found in castor beans has been found in a package sent to President Donald Trump, the latest example of the natural and deadly toxin being investigated by authorities. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says ricin can be found in a waste product that occurs when processing castor beans into castor oil. It would take a deliberate act to make ricin and use it to poison people. No antidote exists for the poison, which can kill a person within 36 to 72 hours of exposure. According to the CDC, it is unlikely to be absorbed through the skin, but it can be deadly when ingested or inhaled. Ricin is very toxic. It works by getting inside the cells of a person's body and preventing the cells from making the proteins they need. Without the proteins, cells die. Eventually, this is harmful to the whole body and may cause death. Symptoms of ricin poison are different depending on whether the ricin is ingested or inhaled. When eaten, organ damage and intestinal bleeding can occur. When breathed in, it causes respiratory problems. The poison could potentially be used as a biological weapon, according to the Mayo Clinic. Here's the thing. They sent this shit to Donald Trump at the White House. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just not. I'm just not. I do question how, like, if anybody was like really trying to get that dude, why they would send that to the White House. Right? Why they would send that to the White House. Considering, like, you know, many people touch, you know, the mail before Donald Trump ever lays a finger on it, or any president, before any president lays a finger on it. The fact that anybody would send some shit through the mail to the White House doesn't seem like smart, if that was what you were trying to do. Not to say that I'm advocating for that. I'm skeptical in the sense that I wonder how much of this, like, did somebody really send this to him, or whether or not this is a stunt, considering the fact that Donald Trump knows how unpopular he is, and if he can get people to believe that his life is in danger because of the radical left and the anarchist and the protesters are trying to take him out, whether or not this is something that he will play up and try to use to his political advantage, so to speak. I don't know how much I believe in the actual, like, the attempt on his life. I don't know how much I believe in it, but here's the other part about this is so fucked up that, like, even if it were true, because of the way in which this administration has been kind of operating, and where, like, they're lying constantly, it's hard to believe any motherfucking thing they say. Even if it were true, it would be hard to believe it because it's coming from them. So yeah, man. They say somebody sent some rice into the White House in an attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. I don't know how much I believe it, but yo, that's been the news, y'all. But y'all know what time it is.
What in blue blazes is going on out here? This nigga just say blue blazes.
All right. Our first story here in Blue Blazes is so John David Washington, big movie star now, right? He's the son of Denzel Washington. He's got this big movie named, like, Tenet. I want to see Tenet, in Europe, they go to the movie theaters and shit now. They can go to the movies and whatnot. We can't go to the movies here, because the ghetto. But yeah, John David Washington, son of Denzel Washington, got a real big Christopher Nolan movie under his belt now. He was a star of Black Klansman. He was one of the stars of the show Ballers on HBO. And so he got to talking about when the coronavirus came along, he went back to live with his parents, to do the quarantining thing, right? He was quarantining with his parents and whatnot. But John David said his daddy had him doing chores the whole time he was in the house.
There'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
Yeah, man, we get this story here. This comes out of people.com. It says, some things never change. Like many adults, John David Washington moved home amid the coronavirus pandemic, and his dad, Denzel Washington, made sure he was earning his keep around the house. The Tenet actor, 36, appeared on Friday's episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, during which the guest host Samuel L. Jackson asked about his experience living at home again. You really live in Brooklyn, but since the pandemic has happened, you had to come back home. So you're living in the house again, right? Said Jackson, who has known John David for nearly his whole life. Technically not anymore, but I was in my old room. Jackson 71 went on to ask the baller star if his father made him do chores, as Denzel likes some order in the house. I can't believe we're doing this right now. The former NFL star laughed. There was a chore or two. My chore was to make sure I'm down for dinner in time. That's not a chore, Jackson rebutted. A chore is like sweeping the driveway, taking the garbage out, keeping something to earn your keep. How about cooking? Okay, this ain't what I thought it was. My bad, y'all. I really felt like I really felt like, you know, John David went home and like he was there for the quarantine and his daddy was just on his ass, you know, just kind of like.
Can I ask you a question?
The hell you got to ask me, Mr. Stewiggy, the one you got the questions for.
How come you ain't never liked me?
Like you? Who the hell said I got to like you? What law is there say I got to like you? Want to stand up in front of my face and ask a damn fool-ass question like that? Talking about liking somebody. Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. I asked you a question. What law is there say I got to like you?
None.
All right, then. Don't you eat every day? Answer me when I talk to you. Don't you eat every day?
Yeah.
Nigga, as long as you in my house, you put a sir on the end of it when you talk to me.
Yes, sir.
You eat every day.
Yes, sir.
Got a roof over your head.
Yes, sir.
Got clothes on your back.
Yes, sir.
Why you think that is?
Because of you?
Hell, I know it's because of me. But why do you think that is?
Because you like me?
Like you. I go out of here every morning. I bust my butt putting up with them crackers every day because I like you. You're about the biggest fool I ever saw. It's my job. It's my responsibility. A man is supposed to take care of his family. You live in my house, fill your belly with my food, put your behind on my bed because you're my son. Because I like you, because it's my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you. Now, let's get this straight right here and now before I go along any further. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand don't give me my money come payday because he like me. He give it to me because he owe me. Now, I don't give you everything I got to give you. I give you your life. Me and your mama worked that out between us, and liking your black ass wasn't part of the bargain.
So, yeah, man. I thought that's what it's going to be like at the Denzel Washington house. But, yeah, that's in Blue Blazers, man. Also, like, folks be talking about, you know, John David Washington looking like his daddy. I don't know if I see it. I think he walks like his daddy. Like he got his daddy strut and shit, right? Like he walks like if you see him walking, he got his daddy's walk. But I think he looks a lot like his mom. Like if y'all seen pictures of his mom, I think John David Washington looks a lot like his mom. But yo, that's in Blue Blazers. Hey, Annette, how you doing? Annette's in the chat room, and also we got Stephanie in the chat room. How y'all doing today? But yeah, that's in Blue Blazers. Now, another story that we got in Blue Blazers is something that I thought was fucking amazing. So there was this story. Well, this comes out of breaking911.com, but apparently there was a father who was able to forgive his brother for killing and raping his daughter. Yeah, so there's video attached to this. I'm gonna pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with me. Let's see what they're talking about here. Here we go.
Sentenced to death. Today, a judge upheld a death sentence against Granville Ritchie. He's convicted of raping and murdering a 9-year-old girl and then dumping her body off the Howard Franklin Bridge 6 years ago. ABC Action News reporter Isabel Rosales was at the court today during a very emotional hearing.
It was absolutely an emotional day for the family of Felicia Williams. Even the judge cried. But perhaps the most stunning moment came from the little girl's father and his calm words to the man who took his world. Judge Michelle Cisco handing down the state's ultimate punishment, death.
May God have mercy on your soul, Mr. Ritchie.
One by one, the victim's family described the sleepless nights Granville Ritchie caused them by raping and murdering 9-year-old Felicia Williams. Her grandmother.
I just miss my grandbaby.
Her sister.
She meant the world to us, and he discarded her like she was blood.
Her mother.
I've waited 2,310 days for this day to come.
Felicia Demerson says she wore black to, quote, bury Ritchie today.
The only thing I regret today is that I cannot ask for his fate. And that would be for him to be hung, for him to feel what my daughter felt.
Even the judge was unable to hold back her own tears.
My heart breaks for you as a mother. Absolutely breaks for you as a mother.
But one of the most remarkable moments came from the victim's father.
I forgive you, bro. That's how strong my God is. I come in and smile at you today with no harm or ill will towards you. You my brother. You made a mistake. But you got time. You got time to get right with God, bro.
Williams says Richie must answer to a higher authority.
Get on your knees and you pray. Because the journey you got ahead of you gonna need God.
But the journey toward justice isn't over. Richie will likely spend years in death row before his execution and after any and all appeals have been exhausted. In Tampa, Isabel Rosales, ABC Action News.
All right. So, yeah. I don't know. Actually, I do know. I know I don't have that level of forgiveness in me right now. I know I don't have it. I admire people who do. Because like hell, I'm pissed off at family right now for like trying to fuck over me with like for money and shit. And I know for myself, like when I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. And if someone were to do that, what this man is accused of doing to his own niece, if someone was to try to do that with my daughter, I don't know if I could sit there and talk to that guy and talk of the forgiveness and everything. I could pray on it all I want. I just don't know if I have that in me in this moment. I don't know if this iteration of Spann has that in him. But it just kind of goes into how people process things, right? I remember when folks were upset with the family of Botham Jean and the young boy, Botham Jean's younger brother. When Botham Jean's younger brother gave, what was that lady's name? Amber Geiger, I believe it was. When Amber Geiger got the 10-year sentence and he was able to hug her, and folks were upset with him because of the fact that he was able to like kind of forgive her for what she done. But I think, there's that old adage that like the forgiveness isn't necessarily for them, it's for you. And for him, that's how he was able to process that, and that's how he was able to get through that very painful moment. And I kind of see the similarities between that and his father, that maybe just for him, he needed to feel like that in order to get past this painful moment. And there's no shame in that. I know, like, folks be like, ain't no way in hell. Cause I know and truthfully speaking, for a lot of folks, that's how they feel. Like, ain't no way in hell they could do that. But, sometimes we tend to project those feelings onto other people, and those feelings not necessarily being, how they feel. And also, like, we're not in that situation. And so we don't necessarily know how we will react. We can talk and pontificate and speculate all day long as to how we think we would handle a situation like that, but we don't know until you're put in that spot. And so, let's see. Annette's in the chat. She said they were doing too much. How so, Annette? I'm asking, how so? How do you feel like they were doing too much? Because I kind of feel like, like we saw the juxtaposition of this father with the feelings of the mother of this child. And, her feelings were very much in line with how I think a lot of people feel, like they would process that, you know what I'm saying? But like, I think that's what helped her kind of get through this. And of course, like, the father's relationship is different because it was also his brother. And truthfully speaking, that's a lot. That's a lot for your brother to be responsible for the rape and the death of your child. That's a lot. And so again, I will go back to this. To him, maybe this is how he gets past this. Maybe this is how he's able to step forward every day and have some level of normalcy to his life, because he may not be right the other way. You know, it always a real like powerful thing, like to kind of witness somebody being able to forgive somebody like that, because folks all the time talk about you know, we talk about church and how, you know, what would Jesus do, this, that, and other. And truthfully speaking, if like Jesus probably would have forgiven this dude had he repented, you know, like if that's what you believe, right? If that's what you believe. So yeah, that's in Blue Blazes. Real interesting story. Another story that we got here in Blue Blazes is Chris Rock. Chris Rock is in Blue Blazes because Chris Rock been out here talking kind of, he been talking some stuff, man. He's got this new thing. I think he's going to be in Fargo. Excuse me. He's going to be in this new series Fargo that comes on FX. And he's in the news right now because apparently he's talking about the Obama presidency marked. Well, I'm sorry, not that. Yeah, is the Obama presidency marked progress for black people? I mean, for white people, not white people. So let's see. We get the story here. This comes out of Fox 32 Chicago.com. And he's on here. He's talking about Obama becoming the president is progress for white people. It's not progress for black people. He said it's the Jackie Robinson thing. It's written like he broke a barrier as if there weren't black people that could play before him, Rock continued. And that's how white people have learned about racism. They think when these people work hard enough, they'll be like Jackie. Rock said the real narrative should be that these people, the black people, are being abused by a group of people that are mentally handicapped. And we're trying to get them past their mental handicaps and see that all people are equal. Okay. So the comic legend added that humanity is in progress and it should be expected. It's only progress for the person that's taking your humanity. If a woman is in an abusive relationship and her husband stops beating her, you wouldn't say she's made progress, right? But that's what we do with black people. We constantly are told that we're making progress, Rock said. The relationship we're in, the arranged marriage that we're in, is that we're getting beat less. Rock also blasted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats for prioritizing impeachment earlier this year, accusing them of letting the coronavirus into the country as they attempted to oust President Trump, who he likened to a 5-year-old. Okay. Rock recalled talking politics with comedy colleague Dave Chappelle, knocking President Trump by comparing him to a landlord and explaining that we're in the predicament because no one has a less compassion for humans than a landlord. He then linked the president to the 1987 film The Last Emperor, which he noted features a child ruler. Did you ever see that movie, The Last Emperor, where like a 5-year-old is the emperor of China? Rock explained. There's a kid and he's the king. So I'm like, it's all the Democrats' fault because you knew that the emperor was 5 years old. And when the emperor is 5 years old, they only lead in theory. There's usually an adult who's like, okay, this is what we're really going to do. And it was totally up to Pelosi and the Democrats. Their thing was, we're going to get him impeached, which was never going to happen. You let the pandemic come in. Yes, we can blame Trump, but he's really the Okay. All right. Okay, so Annette is saying, she says, I'm talking about the cop, the judge, the whole family. Oh, yeah. Dude. Okay. This thing with Chris Rock. This is sort of like some of the stupid shit that I'll be talking about. Where you would blame those Democrats for pursuing impeachment because the coronavirus is upon us. Does Chris Rock remember the timeline of this at all? Because the impeachment happened in January. Like the trial and everything, it was done in January. The pandemic started like late February, early March. And you would conflate the fact that Democrats were doing their constitutional duty by trying to hold the president accountable for getting a foreign government to interfere in the elections here, with the fact that coronavirus is a problem now. This is the dumb shit I be talking about. These hypothetical fucking arguments that don't make sense whatsoever. Democrats aren't in charge of the government. Let's keep this a buck. Democrats have have control of one house of the legislature. The Republicans have control of another house of the legislature. The Republicans also have control of the White House. The Republicans also have a majority of justices on the Supreme Court. Right? So, okay, so we got Internet God in the chat room. He says Donald Trump travel banned from China on January 31st. The impeachment trial was still going on. The impeachment trial was still going on. However, to blame Democrats for the fact that the president downplayed the fucking pandemic from the fucking jump is retarded. Retarded. Bar none. Dumb. It's these, and we're seeing it more and more with like black, male, rich celebrity types, where they're throwing out a lot of these hypotheticals. And truthfully speaking, I kind of feel as though they're exposing how disconnected from the average black person they are right now when they say this sort of stupid shit. Because we were on the tail end of that impeachment trial. The trial was what, a week? 5 days at most? We already knew what the outcome was going to be, because again, yet another example of Republicans having no motherfucking honor at all. No integrity at all. We knew what the result was going to be simply because who was going to vote in the trial, where they were already saying before the trial took place that they weren't even going to, like, they're not even considering conviction before the evidence had ever even been presented to them, or not even allowing all of the witnesses to testify. Be that as it may, to conflate these two issues. Well, if the Democrats hadn't pursued an impeachment while the president was actively seeking somebody to interfere in the fucking election, and therefore we got the coronavirus pandemic because of the Democrats, are you fucking insane? And so this is what I mean when, like, we talk about using your words wisely when you have a platform where thousands, hundreds, millions of people listen to you. And some of these people are impressionable. Oh, well, shit. Well, Chris Rock said this. And you know what? I kind of believe him. Chris Rock got a point. Fuck out of here, man. That's dumb. It's fucking dumb. And Phenom is in the chat. Like, I don't disagree with the first part, but the whole Nancy Pelosi part. Yeah, that like, I didn't disagree with that at all. But here's the other part. And I think I said this last week, man. Like, he's talking about, like, yo, white, we look at these as progress, but really is like being in an abusive relationship, you're being abused less. And it kind of lends to that whole thing that Ice Cube said on his, like, we need to demand some shit for our vote with his Johnny Come Lately ass. But this is the thing, like, I find it disrespectful for these rich motherfuckers to be coming to tell us, they're like, yo, we need to get what, what's the words that I'm looking for here? We're going to get what's owed to us, or better yet, like, we haven't gotten anything over the course of these years, as though, like, there hasn't been progress made over these years, as though the fighting and the protesting and the sacrificing and the people who have lost their lives in that fight haven't gotten any gains from what it used to be from, like, say, the 1950s to now. Right? Like, we have a lot more opportunities now than, say, for instance, our grandparents had. And to act as though we haven't made any progress from then to now, I think is very fucking disrespectful. And so, although I see what he's going for, I don't know if I can hop on that. Right? So, Yeah, it's like these motherfuckers need to stop talking right now because right now is not the time to ask. And that's the point. That's the entire point that I'm saying. Like it is high past time for the like the hypotheticals and all of that shit. Like our literal lives are definitely on the fucking line this coming election. And I know people say that shit all the time. This is the most important motherfucking election of our lifetime. This, that, and the other. True, like this for the first time in my voting life. I believe it. I truly do believe it, man. Like as we see, like the level of fucking, like, y'all remember like they used to talk about like people when Trump first became president, like they would talk about, well, you know, we got our institutions and our institutions will be a guardrail against, you know, any sort of malfeasance and all this other shit, and it's gonna keep Trump in check. And he's been slowly chipping away at that. He's been appointing people to shit that are, and their entire fucking reason for being is to gut those institutions from within. We see that shit happening with the post office now. Right? We see that shit with the post office now. Who is this? Internet. How do we feel about 3 people in Louisville who were murdered Friday night by a Black Lives Matter thug? Okay, so you're just a fucking troll. All right, so whatever. Because chances are those people will be arrested and those people will be convicted and they will go to fucking jail. Bottom line. The fuck, man, hold on. Let me just go ahead and do this right now. Fuck out of my chat room. Got time for that shit. So yeah, man. Yeah, like I feel like, you know, people like T.I. telling people to take their $1,200 stimulus check and go buy some land. People got bills, B. Like $1,200 don't go as far as it used to. They're talking about folks being evicted. Like I know, like the CDC came up with some shit where they were talking about you know, like we're going to hold back evictions for at least this year, but people are still going to owe back rent, man. Like people still got, they still got to put food on their table. They still got to like pay a cell phone bill or pay a light bill or pay a gas bill or pay whatever. They got bills, man. $1,200 don't go that fucking far. And y'all found a whole hell of a lot of money to give these corporations, man. I'm going to say that. So yeah, man, that's in Blue Blazes. Another story that we got here in Blue Blazes is Cardi B is in Blue Blazes and she just filed for divorce from Offset, y'all.
There'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
So we get the story here. This comes out of yahoonews.com. It says Cardi B reportedly filed for divorce from Offset for this reason. According to multiple outlets, Cardi B filed for divorce from her husband Offset on Tuesday, September 15th in Georgia, but we're just now getting some new details about what led to her to make the decision. E-News reports the paperwork file states that their marriage is irretrievably broken and that there are no prospects for reconciliation. Cardi does not trust Offset. She's really tried for the last 2 years, and has tried to forgive him, a source told the outlet. It's been hard for her since the last cheating scandal, and there have been rumors of him being unfaithful again. Another source told People something similar about Offset's alleged infidelity. Offset has pretty much cheated the entire time, but Cardi looked the other way because of the baby, the sources said. She also didn't want to be embarrassed, but she's had enough. Apparently, the split is very shocking to everyone around them, per the source who spoke to E. They have been living together, parenting culture, and seem to be doing fine from the outsider's perspective. The source continued, he has been pleading with her that he hasn't, but many girls have come forward with claims. She had enough and decided to file. Cardi B wants to be a good example for her daughter and women out there. Back in April 2018, Cardi addressed one of the previous times Offset had been accused of cheating on her and why she decided to stay with him. It's like everybody is coming down my neck like, why are you not leaving him? You have low self-esteem. I don't have low self-esteem. I know I look good. I know I'm rich. I know I'm talented. I know I could get any man I want, any basketball player, football player, but I want to work out my shit with my man, and I don't got to explain why. Cardi continued, I'm not your property. This is my life. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to decide on my decision. It's not right what he fucking did, but people don't know what I did because I ain't no angel. Cardi and Offset have yet to comment on their reported split. Now, saw this come across the timeline, man. The gender wars ensued, and I gotta say, some of the homies, I'm a little disappointed in you niggas because y'all was out here talking about, you know, her WAP and whether or not it was really WAP and whether or not, you know, like she's not cooking, she ain't cleaning, and this is why she's divorced, this, that, and the other. I'm gonna tell y'all, man, just say y'all hate women and just leave it alone. Like, y'all coming up with all these motherfucking excuses to, like, you know, justify why what he did was possibly okay. Just say y'all don't like women. Like, y'all like what women can do for you sexually, but outside of like a woman actually having a choice and like a matter of how she feels like she should be treated, y'all don't really like vibe with that kind of shit. I saw one of my partners make all the excuses in the world for Offset. Like, yo, we don't know what Cardi B was doing. She could have been out here getting her cheeks clapped and all this shit. It goes back to that whole shit I was saying about Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, about Ray J and fucking Princess Love. Like, these relationships, they, like, I know they kind of make it our business when they put the shit out on the internet, but I truthfully just be like, yo, man, this ain't none of our business, man. Or better yet, the whole thing with Dr. Dre and his wife, or soon to be ex-wife, and the divorce settlement and the battle between that, and people like, yo, she don't deserve this amount of money, or, you know, why was she in there producing with him, or, you know, like Cardi B, you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think was like kind of like getting at me. So a lot of y'all niggas like get confused with like the art, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all confuse the art with who people really are a lot of times. And so suddenly y'all give a fuck about whether or not, you know, Cardi B song WAP with what's her name? Megan Thee Stallion. Y'all really take that kind of shit to heart. And y'all will use that against her to say that, like, well, she wasn't a good wife. Meanwhile, the man that she was married to was out here fucking around on her multiple times. And she stayed with that dude when she didn't have to. She took a lot of flack when she stayed with him the first time. Like, how many times is a woman obligated to stay with a dude who ain't doing her right? Let's just keep that a buck, man. Like, why is this even a discussion? Like, the gender wars are like dated. They kind of play, but like, it always happens, man. Anytime one of these celebrity like breakups happen, like, motherfuckers getting formation for like a team. Like, why? Just be on team right. How about you just be on team right? You ain't got to be on team Cardi or team Offset or team Jada or team Will, or you ain't got to be on none of them teams, man. Just be on team right. Just try to be right, man. Like, or better yet, like, team, it ain't my business. Right? Team, it ain't my business. How about that? Team, it ain't my business. Let's do that, man. But yo, that's been Blue Blazers, y'all.
What in blue blazes is going on out here? This nigga just say blue blazes.
But y'all know what time it is.
That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Yes, enough of that shit. It's Proud to be an American time here at the Spann Report podcast. And our first story here in Proud to be an American has to do with our anti-mask fellow Americans, man. These people are out here. They are upset at the fact they got to wear masks, and they gonna let you know that they are upset about it. So our first story here actually comes from, you know, the Detroit area. I'm gonna go with the Detroit area right now because this shit set me. I think this shit set me the fuck off. And there's video attached to this. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with me. Let me go ahead and do that because this shit was bananas, y'all. So apparently, you know, here in Michigan, like, they've decided they're gonna like let the kids play football. Right? They're going to let the kids play the football, but the governor has mandated that if they're going to play the football, they got to wear a face mask to protect them from coronavirus. Well, apparently there are parents who are upset who think the mask is actually going to be the thing that puts their kids in fucking jeopardy. So let me pull the video up. We're going to play this and let's see what they're talking about.
High school football team's finally getting to play, but some parents are worried about their kids' safety, not because of COVID, because they are forced to wear masks, and they feel that risk is more dangerous right now than the virus.
He's never been injured in a single time that he's played football. He's been playing since 7th grade.
Until Christina Thero says her son Andrew was required to wear a mask at football practice last week. The senior football player at Lance Cruz High School North came home with a concussion.
Having the mask on, causing the headache, causing him to be kind of disoriented on the field. So he wasn't seeing the field correctly. So he's surveying the field like he normally does, but he's missing things and his body's not responding like he normally has it. So he kept getting hit the entire practice. If you miss something in that landing, he could snap his neck and die, you know? And it's very concerning as a parent because you don't want to squash I don't want to squash him by saying you can't play because he lives for it.
Medical experts say COVID-19 is easily spread through airborne particles, affecting everyone differently. To limit exposure, Governor Gretchen Whitmer issued an executive order calling for all high school athletes to wear a mask when they cannot stay 6 feet apart.
And is this better, though, to be able to wear a mask and play than to risk COVID?
I believe that there's not enough science and data.
Lance Cruz North was supposed to play Detroit Country Day Friday night, but positive COVID cases forced Country Day to cancel. Lance Cruz took on Oxford because its opponent, Lake Orion, was also forced to cancel because of COVID.
Yes, we want our children to play, and we believe that the risks to them is minimal for COVID.
That's why Christina, along with thousands of other parents, have created a Facebook group and signed a petition to unmask athletes at all schools in Michigan. They plan to hold a rally at the Capitol Wednesday because many feel it is dangerous and unhealthy to wear a mask while playing high-impact sports.
That's the problem. It's his senior year. And so he needs to be able to show his best self.
Christina says 11 schools are looking to recruit her son for college football, and wearing a mask will put him at a disadvantage compared to other players who are allowed to go without it.
When a child is trying to get a scholarship, they need to perform at their best. And other states are showing children being able to perform at their best, so at least they're uninhibited. And our children are going to be the only children that are going to be inhibited. So when they're looking at, prospecting for players for colleges, they're going to look at a deficient Michigan player.
Now, many concerned.
Okay, so yeah, first things first. This mama, man, I'm just saying.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's no wonder you get D's and everything.
Hey, man. So your kid got a concussion at football practice, and you think it's the mask that got your kid the concussion from football practice. And you're talking about my son had never been hurt, and he's been playing football since he was in 7th grade. He's a senior in high school now, but he's never been hurt. Like, eventually, playing football, your son was going to sustain some level of an injury. It's just the nature of the game, right? A concussion has actually become like so prevalent in the game that they attribute CTE to multiple concussions from playing the sport of football. So much so that a lot of professional players are saying they don't know if they would allow their own children to play football. But you would get on the news, on the fucking news, and say the mask is inhibiting my son from being healthy, as if there isn't a deadly fucking virus out there that your son could possibly get. This is that disconnect, man. This is that shit I was saying. So the as we were talking about, like, Black and brown kids being primarily the ones who were dying from COVID-19 cases, they talked about it even in this story that they've had to cancel games even already because at 2 different high schools, they've had to postpone or cancel games because there were COVID-19 cases on the teams, and they had to, these teams had to figure out whether or not they were going to play somebody else. They shouldn't even be fucking playing, man. That's my opinion. I don't think these kids should be playing. It is going to take one of these children dying from this disease that they contracted while playing this fucking game before somebody decides, like, hey, man, maybe we shouldn't really be doing this right now. Maybe we should be taking heed to the fact. And I know, because of the nature of what this nation, how this nation is right now, that's not going to happen. But you got parents who are upset at the mask and thinking that her son got hurt because, well, he couldn't see. And it was because of the mask. Ma'am, are you?
Dum diddy.
Oh my God. I saw this and I swear I was cussing at my TV because it's like, yo, and then on top of that, when she's confronted with the idea that like, yo, so, you know, I mean, at least he getting to play football though, right? Like he could wear the mask, but if he, you know, it's better than not being able to play football. And she's talking about, I don't believe there's enough science to say whether or not he could contract it. Are you? What the fuck is wrong? What the fuck is wrong with these people, man? And she's got a group. It was 3,900 people that signed the petition to get them to take the mask off of these players while they're playing this game, man. A game that they really shouldn't be playing. I was at work this week working on this man's house. He happened to be a high school football coach for one of the Detroit area high schools. And he asked me whether or not I paid attention to high school football. And I had to be honest with him. I said, man, I haven't paid attention to high school football since I was in high school. But he told me he was a high school football coach. And they were talking about how, the kids wanting to play and like them not even, taking the mask thing seriously. Like you got to stay on them about keeping the mask on. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. But at the same time, like they probably shouldn't be playing in the first place. And he's like, well, we got to get back to some level of normalcy. I said, yeah, until somebody dies. And then y'all like, come back and are talking about, well, maybe we shouldn't have been doing this. Right. The kids are going to do whatever the adults allow for them to do. If you told the kids they couldn't play football because of coronavirus, guess what they're going to do? They're going to sit their ass down. It's not like the kids are going to make up a football team and go to these damn football. Like they don't even have the equipment. They ain't got the money. They ain't got none of the resources. The adults are what facilitate this shit. And so, yeah, man, like she's talking about her son being recruited by 11 colleges to play football. Hey, I ain't, I've never been, considered a Division I level prospect playing basketball or whatever. But I'm gonna tell you this right now: if your son was any good and they were already considering your son to be playing for them, they'd probably still be considering your son, and they'd understand the reason why your son may not have played this year was because of COVID. I think that's a very reasonable motherfucking conclusion to come to. Right? Well, it's yeah. Like this is America, y'all. This is America. That's in Proud to be an American. But another story that we got here in Proud to be an American, and we go back to some more anti-mask protesters. These are anti-mask protesters in Utah, and they're upset with the fact that the school, like they have to wear masks in the schools. And I'm telling y'all, man, we are living in different times, y'all.
Now, hundreds have gathered here in front of the Washington County Administration building, calling for the end of a mask mandate, saying they are tired of not living their normal lives.
No more masks! No more masks! Not on the backs of my kids, or you're going to get more federal funding. That's how I feel about that.
A passionate call for action Friday morning in St. George. Several police officers on standby as many locals called concerns about coronavirus spikes overblown.
The flu kills more than coronavirus.
Others
I feel sorry for that kid. I really do. His parents are fucking dumbasses.
calling the virus a hoax or stating that asymptomatic carriers simply do not exist and they cannot be forced to wear masks anywhere as citizens of the United States.
If we want to wear a mask, that's fine. We can take care of ourselves.
Some rally attendees say they shouldn't ever wear masks if they have any medical issues or mental health concerns, or if they feel they simply can't breathe.
When George Floyd was saying, I can't breathe, and then he died, and now we're wearing a mask, and we say, I can't breathe, but we're being forced to wear it anyways.
That is a person who is not at all familiar with what oppression looks like. Like, not at all familiar. Like, to conflate George Floyd with the fact that you are being asked or mandated to wear a mask to protect other people. It's not about you. Like, listen, I wear a mask at work, right? Like, I wear a mask at work. It's not the most comfortable shit in the world. Sometimes it's like when I'm breathing hard because I'm wrenching and shit, I'm shoveling holes or whatever the fuck else. It's a very physical job that I do. Sometimes my glasses fog up. It's annoying. But I wear the mask. You know why? Because for one, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get anybody around me sick. And I want to, like, I still got shit to do in life, man. I got shit to do today. I ain't got time to be dying out here because you don't want to wear a fucking mask, man. That's stupid. And so this we are witnessing not only like this, like people getting in those silos that we talked about last week with social media, and you being fed more and more information that more aligns with how you choose to see the world, as opposed to objective facts, being brought to you. But also like the dumbing down of America, in the sense that, like, people actively questioning the science as if they're qualified to do so. Right? Like we talked about the lady with the football son or whatever, and she's talking about there's not enough science. Who the fuck are you to say? This woman talking about I can't breathe, and George Floyd. Like, who the fuck are you? We've let these people feel like we've allowed people to feel as though their opinions are on the same level as those who are learned in a certain field of study, and it's not. Your opinion is not as valid as somebody who has a certain level of expertise in a field of study. And if overwhelmingly the experts on the situation are telling you, hey, man, one way that we can get rid of this coronavirus pandemic is to wear the mask, wear the fucking mask. Here's the other part about this, right? If you wanted to get back to some level of normalcy, what you could do is wear the mask. Everybody, like, as Americans, like, America first, right? All lives matter, right? Let's say if we were going to take this all lives matter shit seriously. All lives matter. How about you how about you show that in your actions? Okay, my life matters. Your life matters. I'm going to wear this mask so that we can all live, right? How about we do that until we can get this thing under control? But instead, you got people out here talking about their fucking freedom. If wearing a mask, if this is an impediment to your freedom, then god damn it, you ain't never had no problems. You ain't had shit going wrong your entire life. If this is the biggest impediment to your life, is being asked, hey man, could you wear a mask so that you don't get anybody around you sick? Your life has been fucking peachy, yo. Fucking peachy.
And he stated that they believe in all cases masks jeopardize kids' health. Parents are demanding they have the right to decide what to do with their children.
I'll tell you another reason I hate masks. Most child molesters love them.
School administrators responding that they don't understand why crowds are protesting them based on a mandate given by the governor.
They blocked off the front entrance to the school building, and we went out to ask them to move, and they attempted to storm the school building.
The school board is implementing the governor's recent order that face shields alone are not enough. And if a parent is adamant that their child cannot wear a mask or a shield, they must fill out a form including a doctor's note so the district can review it. In St. George, Katie Crowless, ABC4 News.
And I'm guaranteeing you that every last one of these people in this particular crowd talking about no more masks and storming fucking school administration buildings, I'm guaranteeing you that all of these, every last one of them, I will bet my check this week that all of those people that are protesting here are voting for Donald Trump. The same Donald Trump who said that I like playing this down, that the coronavirus is deadly. It's not even so much about what you touch. It's in the air, man. You can breathe it in. That it's 5 times more deadlier than the flu. This is shit that Trump was saying privately to Bob Woodward 6 months ago. And these dumb motherfuckers are standing outside of a school administration building, storming the building because they don't want to have to make their kids wear masks to go to school. They believe it's politically not, it's a political thing. We've turned the science political. It's weird. You can tell the people who just simply don't want to wear masks where they line up. You can just tell. That's in Proud to Be an American. We got another story, something similar here in Proud to Be an American, as they go through Target and do the same dumb shit. Let me pull this video up. So they go to Target and actually have a fucking parade without wearing a mask while they're walking through the store. Check this video out, y'all. pull that up.
All right, hit it. Woo! Girls mask. Woo!
All right, we're tired. I'm sorry.
Also, make note, all these people, keep America great, make America great again. It's some political shit. It's some political shit. Despite the, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't.
With masks on, and now we're taking the mask off because we're done with it.
Take it off.
Take off your mask and breathe. Breathe. You're Americans. Breathe. It's all a lie. That's it. Take off that mask. That's the only way it's gonna work. Is if we all unite. It's all about choice.
Dude, it's all about choice. We're all Americans. Like, yeah, I'm an American. I want to live. How about you put your fucking mask back on so we can all continue to do so? All lives matter, don't it? Right? This is what y'all say. Right? We know y'all don't mean that shit. We know y'all don't mean that shit. And like, just America, period. Excuse me. I'm gonna just say this, y'all. Voting is important because these people do. These people vote. These people will be voting in November. And if you want any semblance of normalcy to be brought back into your life, if you want to like have some level of decency and common sense to be brought back into the American discourse, I would advise you heavily to vote your interest and get Donald Trump's bitch ass the fuck about the orange paint, man. Get his ass about the paint. Get those who would enable these sorts of people who would endanger not only your lives, but the lives of your children. Send their asses back into the corners from which they came. I'm at a point in my life, man, where I no longer have room for the antipathy. I have no more room for some of these hypotheticals that y'all throwing around. I have no more room to entertain these bullshit both sides of the same coin arguments y'all been putting forth. I have no more room for the level of willful ignorance that a lot of y'all choose to display. I have no more room for it. I am done. Done with it. Some of y'all may unfriend me or unfollow me or whatever, and that's fine. It's probably time for that relationship to be over now anyway. But I can't stress enough what this coming election means. And if you are of the mindset that it doesn't mean anything, that it's going to continue to be the same way, that we ain't going to get nothing from this or any of that, man. Like, I'm done. We through, man. Like, there's no reason for you to be around the nigga no more. I mean, it was cool while it lasted, right? But at this point, if we want any semblance of common sense, decency, and respect to be the prevailing school of thought here, then we need to do all we can to make sure that happens. And so if you are one of those motherfuckers who at this moment are like an Ice Cube, who doesn't choose to read and doesn't choose to not only like you present a contract with Black America and not have not one Black woman voice upon that, or not one Black person or of the LGBTQ community as a part of that, I ain't listening to you. Fuck you. If you're one of those people who are talking about, I'm not voting for the lesser of two evils. Yeah, fuck you. Because the lesser of two evils are still less motherfucking evil. Fuck you. If you are one of those people who are talking about, two sides of the same coin, yeah, fuck you. Because it is this sort of thinking, this sort of historical ignorance this sort of civic ignorance that has allowed for this country to get to where the fuck it is right now. And I'm for damn sure sick and tired of seeing it. It's been 3 years, bro. I feel like I've aged 6. For real. I really don't feel like there's like the sense of urgency that there needs to be in a lot of circles that I found myself in. I feel like sometimes I'm talking to walls where people just aren't making the connections. People just aren't interested in the connections. People aren't necessarily aware of how these decisions affect them. And I'm at a point in my life now where I'm just like, okay, it's time. It's time for these. It's time for these relationships to be done. So, yeah, man. That was proud to be an American, yo.
That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
But y'all know what time it is.
The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here!
All right. Our champ of the week this week here is none other than California Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, the reason why Gavin Newsom is the champ of the week this week is because Gavin Newsom has just made it possible for inmate firefighters to be able to become emergency workers when they're released from prison. So we get this story here. This comes out of simplemost.com. It says on Friday, September 11th, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill that allows prisoners who fight fires while in jail to have their records expunged to transition into roles as firefighters and emergency workers upon release. The new law comes on the heels of a massive ongoing wildfires across the state as it continues to battle the coronavirus pandemic. AB 2147, sponsored by Democratic Assemblywoman Eloise Reyes, addresses California's long-term practice of using trained inmates to help fight fires, supporting the professionally trained fire department. In fact, last year, about 3,100 inmates helped to fight fires. Those inmates reportedly received $1 an hour for working during an active fire. I think that after seeing all these young men and women stand side by side with our other fire crews and knowing that they had no hope of entering that profession, I knew that it was wrong and that we needed to do something about it. The law will allow prisoners who serve in a state firefighting camp or a county fire hand crew to have their records expunged upon release so they can qualify to receive EMT certification, a critical factor in the process of becoming a municipal firefighter. The accelerated process would allow them to apply for new careers without having to reveal their criminal records, which is often a part of a job application process. AB 2147 won't apply to those who have criminal records for violent offenses such as murder, kidnapping, rape, arson, or any felony punishable by death or life imprisonment. So, yeah, I know that, some people would say that like this is politically expedient and like with everything that's going on in California with the wildfires, this is probably born out of necessity more so than like the kindness of the heart, so to speak. But truthfully speaking, man, like whether it was that or not, the result is still the same, that these people could get out of jail and actually have a pathway to some level of respectable employment and go on to lead better lives on and to reduce the recidivism that could possibly happen had they not been given this opportunity. So yeah, we can be cynical about this shit all we want to, but the fact that remains is those people now have an opportunity that they wouldn't have had normally had this action not been taking place. And so for that, I will give Gavin Newsom the champ of the week this week here at the Spann Report podcast because I feel like it was the right motherfucking thing to do. So that's that. But yo, man, I appreciate everybody here in the chat room for coming through and fucking with your man Spann here. My man Phenom Black here, and he said the nigga who rocked the Summerfield wearing a mask too sounds like Andrew needs practice. Indeed, man, indeed. And Annette says that people are just nuts. That is true, indeed, man. And yeah, bad relationships. I feel like a lot of us are in bad relationships, bad friendships. bad intellectual ships or whatever the fuck else, man. But yo, it is time for us to roll on up out of here. But of course, before we do, I really do need to remind you guys how to get in touch with us here at the Spann Report Podcast and let your voice be heard. You can go ahead and hit us up at the hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get read here live on the show. And I'm sorry, played here live on the show and responded to in kind. And if you're watching us here live on Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope, you can chop it up with us here live as well. Area code 313-288-0485. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails, and those emails, of course, will get read here and replied to here live on the show as well. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead and follow me there, chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. You can also hit up our website at www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls when we put those polls up. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like, and we really do appreciate those dollars here at the Spann Report Podcast Network. You can also hit up our store, man. Get yourself some merch, get a coffee mug or a sports bottle or a t-shirt or a hoodie because it's hoodie season now. Go ahead and copy yourself some merch, man. We really do appreciate everybody who goes about the business of doing that and supporting us in that way. And also 5-star reviews. 5-star reviews are another way to get at us here at the Spann Report Podcast on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show. Doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. But it is time for us to get on up out of here. I will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.